Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Limitless Landscapers podcast. I'm Paula, your host, and today I'm talking about one of my favorite subjects. Yes, it is marketing, and in particular, marketing for you guys as landscapers. I've been chatting to a lot of people, TLC clients, and people that are inquiring to discuss working with me as the landscapes coach. And one of the main areas we've all been talking about recently is marketing. And of course, whether the industry is experiencing a downturn or not. If you want to hear more on this, and this is something that you're worried about, let's go to the show. As the co-founders of the Landscaper Circle, we help you get more money, time and freedom to become limitless. Through our experiences as fellow landscapers and our tried and tested methods, if you want help with your marketing, managing or growing your business, you've definitely come to the right place. If you're a landscaper, garden designer or supplier to the industry, then hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get back to the show. Hello guys and welcome to the Limitless Landscapers podcast. I'm Paula and today I'm here to touch upon some ideas for marketing your landscaping business. Now, why am I doing this? Because it seems to be a very hot topic at the moment. It seems to be a topic of conversation that I'm having with the landscapers coaching clients. It's a topic of conversation that I'm having with people outside of my clients and potentially new clients coming on board. And I've also been hearing some sort of negativity in the industry, of which I just want to quash now, so to speak. So marketing is super important for any business. And I expect if you've been running your landscaping business for a long time, you might just be going through the motions, you might not have thought about it, or you might be noticing that the leads are quietening down. Now, yes, I am finding that leads are dropping off, certainly, but I'm getting better quality leads. So actually the leads that are coming through are of higher quality. So you don't actually need a huge amount of leads to be successful if you are attracting the correct clients for you. I had a discussion with someone about this and social media today. And the fact is, there are some people that have thousands and hundreds of thousands of views and likes and comments and interaction. But how many of those people are relevant and clients of theirs? Now, I don't know the answer, but for me, I actually don't mind if I have a smaller group of people that are following, interacting with me, liking my stuff, as long as they are relevant for me and potential clients. So it's all about quality, not quantity. And this is important when you are looking at your marketing as well. Now, I'm going to run through some ideas because sometimes you can just be thinking about marketing, thinking you have to do all these fancy things. There's so much you can do, but there's a couple of key elements that I need to put into place first. Number one is going through your ideal client or your client avatar. Now, if you are part of my TLC client crew, you have access to this template over in Slack, and I have some other stuff for you if you need help on that side of things. Now, your ideal client, the whole point of mapping out your ideal client, some people might think, oh, it's a waste of time. If you don't know who you are trying to attract, if you don't know the client that you are trying to talk to throughout your website, your marketing, your social, all of those things, if they're not talking to your client or your client are not engaging with them, then you're basically wasting your efforts with your marketing. You're wasting your money, you're wasting your time. So you need to get your ideal client on point. So you need to know about your client. You need to know where they hang out, what they do, where do they live, what is their job role? Do they own their own business? Do they have families? Do they like cars or golf or the gym? What age group are they? Do they have a disposable income? What kind of projects are they looking to have? What kind of house they live in? I could go on. Again, like I say, I have a template for this. You need to get clear on this so that then you can utilize this within your copy throughout all of your marketing, and also where you can focus your marketing efforts as well, so that you are not wasting time, you are not wasting money. So it's really important to get clear. You need to get clear on that ideal client that you are going for. It might be very different to the current client that you are currently attracting. So you might want to review it, particularly if you've been going a while, because you are going to develop and change as a business, and therefore you are going to change your client avatar or develop it or alter it or tweak it slightly in order to attract the next level of projects that you want, the next level of client that you want. So that's number one. So that's the first thing that I would look at if I was starting a business or reviewing all my marketing efforts, or just thinking about what direction am I taking this business in. The second thing is to understand that every bit of marketing you do is trial and error. What I mean by that is what works for you may not work for the landscaper down the road. What works for me may not work for you, etc. There might be subtle differences. There might be things that your client responds to that mine wouldn't, etc. So you need to be prepared to trial things for a set period of time. You need to accept there are going to be errors, and you need to accept that not everything is going to be deemed a success. The third thing is, so that you can know what's been a success or not, you need to test and measure. So what I mean by that is you need to measure your marketing. You need to know where your leads are coming from, where they are in the world, in the area that you're attracting, what they're inquiring for, what their budgets are, whether you sold to them or not, and if you know why, what they are searching for when they find you. Really, you've got to dig deep and actually, log that information down. The easiest way to do this is through an inquiry log, very basic, but literally you can get into super detail on your inquiries and logging every inquiry, not just the ones that you go and see, not just the ones that you send a quote to. It's very important to log every inquiry, because ultimately every inquiry has come from a form of your marketing. So you need to know what marketing is working. And the best way to know what isn't working is basically through the leads that go nowhere. If you are getting a whole load of leads and 80% are going nowhere, and those 80% are coming from a particular page on your website or a particular search term, then you can go back and review that, tweak it, change it to try and change that kind of client coming in. So they're the sort of three things I would think about before you start doing any marketing, and get your head around how you are going to measure, how you're going to test, and be prepared to trial and error. Now, there are many things that I could say to you, and actually I was doing a little bit of research today and thinking about different marketing strategies that we can use. It all starts with your branding and your logo. But then the second thing that we all focus on, and what we should all be focusing on, is your website. So we need to make sure that the website is a fantastic shop front that you can showcase your work, your services, and basically what you do. Aligned with that is your social media presence. You need to have that there in the background, working alongside your website for your online presence. And then there's other ways as well, such as Google My Business, your online business listing via Google, which is great for local SEO. Then you have to look at your content, and this is all your content marketing, such as blogs on your website. You're looking at email marketing, but you do have to build an email list. Then you can look at video marketing, you can look at pay-per-click, you can look at face-to-face marketing, which is your networking, your community involvement. You can look at referral programs. You can look at collaborations with and partnerships with local nurseries or garden centres to cross-promote services. You can look at developing your online reviews to get feedback from clients and make sure that's generating more clients for you. You can look at loyalty programs. You can look at your unique selling proposition in more detail and make sure that's filtered into your marketing. You can look at running campaigns during various seasons or big events. So I know some of you will do a Christmas campaign. You could do online ads, offline ads, case studies. All of these things you can do, and they're all great ideas for marketing. But like I say, there is only generally, when you start your landscaping business, there's probably only one of you that is going to be responsible for the whole running of the business, the whole generating of leads, and everything in between. So you're not really going to have time to do all of those 20 things that I just listed out to you from my brainstorming session earlier. No. So you need to start picking. So you need to get a bit more. This is why the ideal client is perfect first step, because you need to decide what is important for you right now at this moment to do. What could you physically be able to do time-wise and cost-wise? Again, all marketing efforts should be run through the cash flow before you commit to them, particularly if they are big expenses. You also need to look at the stage of your business that you are in to see what would be better suited for you and what will be most likely to work well for you. And then you also have to decide, basically plan it out and make a decision. So you have to make some decisions on what you're going to do and then plan it out in a timeline format. Now, I'm going to share with you a few things that have worked for me over the course of my business, and also some things that have been working for my clients. And it's just to prove to you that marketing does work, but not everything works for everybody in the same way. So don't expect, if I'm going to tell you these results, don't expect that this will happen for you immediately. You might have better results, you might have worse results, something else might work for you better. But it's just about brainstorming some ideas and then getting clear on what you can actually time-wise do and deliver on cost-wise as well. And then look at monitoring it all of the time. So things that I've done and still do, one of my top strategies for marketing is the follow-up. It is simply picking up a phone, sending an email, or sending an email and then picking up a phone, however way you want to do it. But essentially making sure every single quote is followed up. Every single inquiry is followed up. So for instance, if I email an inquiry back, if they've emailed me, I haven't got a contact number, I can only email them back. If they haven't contacted me back within a few days, I will send a follow-up email to see if they received the original email. Did they still have a need for that inquiry? Did they want to book in a site visit or have a conversation in more detail about their project and how it works working with us? But ultimately, it's all in the follow-up. And this is particularly important, and you should be making it a priority in your business if you are finding that your leads are drying up or you're worried about booking in jobs. Following up is the easiest way to basically close the sale quicker. And most people don't follow up because they're embarrassed. Most people won't follow up because they haven't got time. So just by following up, you're doing more than most landscaping companies will be doing. And in the past, I've done email campaigns and I've generated, I remember one was a driveway that I thought was dead and buried. If you've listened to the podcast for a while, I think I did an episode on this particular scenario. And essentially that person came back and booked in a £18,000 driveway. And they would never have rebooked that if I hadn't have committed to following up with that quote like months later. It wasn't days later, it wasn't weeks later, it was months later that I continued sending them emails saying, I'm sorry, you're an open quote. I hate having open quotes. Why haven't you made a decision yet? Have you made a decision? Have you gone with another contractor? Did you have more questions, or has it just not been on your mind at the moment? And it just gave them the excuse, my excuse to contact them, and then their excuse to contact me back. And eventually we booked in the job. So the proof of that, the follow-up is a brilliant way to convert open quotes and a brilliant way to re-warm up cold leads just by doing a newsletter campaign, for instance. That is a follow-up. Or just emailing your inquiries that haven't got back to you. Hey, how's it going? I saw you inquired X amount on this date. I haven't heard back from you. Is this still something you're looking to do? Don't be embarrassed. I think most people expect you to follow up. I certainly do if I've inquired for something. One of my TLC clients absolutely dominates Instagram. Now, she hasn't got a huge following. She hasn't got a huge amount of people following her, loving her, but she gets consistent leads through it. So because she's getting consistent leads and leads that convert to sales, I've told her that's where she needs to focus on. Now, for my business, it doesn't work like that for me. My lead generation through social media is pretty much zilch. But for her and her clients that she's attracting, they love it and they're engaging with her on Instagram. They are inquiring with her through Instagram. So for her, I've said absolutely put more effort because it clearly works for you. Whereas for myself, I put less effort in because it's not somewhere that I generate good quality leads. Another one of my clients has absolutely nailed it by building really great relationships with garden designers. He's a landscaper. He's got a great business. He's just focused, I think, over the last year or so on developing relationships with local designers in his area. And he is reaping the rewards by getting really good quality jobs, which means that then he's able to expand his business. And what he's now doing is focusing more effort on that because it's working for him. Think about your networking and contacts because, again, myself and another one of my clients have been focusing on who we know. And my client's actually got a new garden maintenance from this, from one of his old networks, contacts, whatever you want to call it. And essentially has now got some work out of that. Myself, I consistently get work from people that I've worked with in the past, that I've built a strong relationship with. So don't underestimate the value of your network. Showroom. I had a guest on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, Ben of Walker Landscaping, and he went through why he set up a showroom and exactly what kind of impact that's had on his sales conversion. So for him, having that showroom, that space to be able to meet customers face, to show them products, works massively for him. The guest I had on, John Norman Garden Design, he was literally singing the praises of local SEO and the benefits that he's found by focusing his efforts on LinkedIn. It's working for him. He's generating really good connections and off the back of that, really great projects as well. Content marketing. I focus on this quite a lot in both my businesses, both as the landscapes coach and also in Aura Landscapes. And what I mean by that is it's looking at your blogs, what content is on your website. So basically the words, what content are you putting out there? And for me in TLC, we have actually redone the website. I say we, I'm doing it with Charlotte, the lovely, wonderful friend of mine, Charlotte, who used to be part of TLC, what feels like years ago. But essentially, she's been helping me just develop some strategy around SEO, as a friend would do. Luckily, she's got that great mind that works online. And I've managed to develop my content so well that it's now ranking number one for two really good phrases for me, keyword phrases, and that is business coaching for landscapers and landscaping business coach. So that's a really massive win because this is what I've wanted to be found for years and haven't managed to do it until I developed the content strategy and the content that was required to get myself showing for those keywords. I've had various success with leaflets and I've been telling a lot of my clients that they should try it. Leaflets are not dead. It's very much like fashion. It tends to come around again and again. It's a cyclical sort of where everyone is online. Sometimes it can get very crowded, so your message will not get heard, your email might get lost. It's quite easy to say, I haven't seen your email and delete it. rather than when you get a leaflet through the post, if you are in the position of looking for a landscaper and you get that leaflet through the post and you check out their website, you look at their social, probably going to buy from them, and that leaflet might just have tipped them over the edge. But there's different ways to utilize leaflets. I'm not going to go into all the ways, but I have had quite a lot of success. Again, it's about testing and measuring, and you need to be able to put on a call to action that you can measure from just the leaflets. That's really important, and you can get quite technical on that as well. But generally, you get a minimum of 1% return on leaflets, but it has to be a good leaflet, you see, as well. So there are some caveats with that. But ultimately, the most important thing is to make sure you're getting a return on your investment. I know where it's a trial and error basis and you're measuring everything as you go, particularly if you're a new business. Yes, you're going to spend some money in the short term, but you're looking at a long-term reward. You're looking at a return on investment all the time. And how do you know if it's worth it? You measure and you log the results. You make sure there are codes. So this is why people put, say, code me when you go onto the website, because if they've sent out leaflets with code me and then they've sent out an email campaign with code email, or they've done a advert in Facebook, it says code Facebook, then they know where each lead is coming from because they've put a particular code in for the different marketing strategies they're utilizing. So that's one way that you can test things out. If you ask people to mention to get something off, mention a code to get something off, you can do that. But essentially it is about asking your inquiries where they come from and logging that information. So particularly when people say to me they saw me on the website, they were on Google and they searched, I say, oh, what was it that you searched for, if you don't mind me asking? And most people go, I think I searched for garden designer Southampton or landscaper Southampton or whatever it might be, but they generally have an idea of what they were searching for. So it's important to ask. Sometimes it's just about asking the right questions to the person on the other end of the phone. But you need to then log that down with that inquiry, and also then make sure you continue to log that inquiry from where it goes from a lead to a site visit to a sale, or it goes dead and why it's gone dead. You need to make sure you keep a cost analysis on it as well to make sure you are getting a true return on investment. You need to look at the marketing spend versus the income that you generate through that marketing strategy. By having an inquiry log, and if you fill it in correctly and you ask the right questions, you can gain quite a lot of information from it. I know I have over the years, and it works well for me. I'm sure there's a much more fancy piece of techno kit, but for me, I quite like my inquiry log. I deal with it and I know where people are coming from, and I can then also work out cost per lead, cost per sale, sales conversion rates. It's quite simple and it all sounds really fancy, but all of those elements are quite easy to work out. If you need help with that, just give me a shout. It's something I do all the time. Finally, on marketing. So that was a bit of a whirlwind tour of marketing strategy. I hope it's made you think about things a bit more, and also think a bit more about what you need to actually think about before you start marketing, and also what you need to look for when you've started marketing, rather than just the marketing strategies in between. And there'll be lots of ideas. I think I've got a book actually called 1001 Ways to Generate Leads. And there is some mental ways that you can try and generate leads. I might share some on the social. But essentially, it's quite interesting because there is loads of different ways you can, there's multiple ways to skin a cat, apparently. So essentially, it's the same thing. So many ways. All that you need to know, if you can dream of it, if you can think of it, then you can make it happen. So that mad idea might actually be a genius marketing strategy for you and your business. Just have a go. Again, make sure you run it through the cash flow though. And yes, final thoughts is, no matter what strategy you do in your business to generate leads, unless you fully believe in yourself, unless your energy is on that higher level of attraction, then it's not going to work anyway. Be mindful of what energy you are in when you are doing the action side of things, when you are putting together strategies. Be mindful of how your inner voice is talking to yourself and trying to drag you down. Be mindful of not being dragged into the negativity of those around you. Always look for proof that negativity is rubbish. So when people are saying to you, oh, no one's buying, it's really depressing, I'm thinking of closing my business. But one, get away from those people because they're going to drag you down. But two, look for proof that's not true. And mostly you can look to yourself, look at your business, look at what you've achieved, but also look to other businesses that are probably not even getting involved in that particular conversation because they've already learned that they have to remove themselves from that kind of energy. High energy attracts high energy. The law of attraction is what you get out, what you put out, sorry, you get back. So always be mindful of what kind of energy is around you, who's around you, and also how you are showing up. Are you showing up in the form of, oh, everything is bad, everything is depressing, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, they're better than me, they're doing better than me? Or are you showing up in the positive frame of mind where anything can happen? There's so many possibilities out there. There's so much abundance in the world. You're going to attract that abundance in, and you are going to attract those people that are on that same vibe, that same wavelength, that same energy level into your life, and those opportunities will come. So that's my final thoughts. I had to end on a bit of woo, otherwise it wouldn't be me. I'd just be a standard business or marketing strategist today, giving you all the action, but none of the internal important stuff that needs to run alongside all of your action plans. So I hope you have enjoyed it today. I will be back next week with another episode of the Limitless Landscapers podcast. In the meantime, if you have a question, shoot it over to me, paula@thelandscaperscoach.co.uk. And if you want to work with me, I do have some one-to-one spaces and a new mastermind launching soon. So get in touch, thelandscaperscoach.co.uk, book a free discovery call. I love to meet you guys. I love to try and help you guys. And if we align and our energies align, then we work together. Simple as that. So thank you for listening, guys, and I will see you next week on the Limitless Landscapers podcast. Ciao.